What if I told you the biggest thing standing in between you and God's promises is your timeline? Because that's exactly what we're going to learn about today. See, Abram did something that all of us are probably guilty of. Let's talk about it. Welcome to the Huddle. I'm Ty, and today's reading is Genesis chapters 15, 16, and 17.
Like and subscribe.
Starting with chapter 15, God made a promise to Abram. He told him that he's going to bless him just with a multitude of descendants, right? Abraham's listening to that. He has questions, and God tells him, hey, you know what? Come outside and look up at the stars and attempt to count them. Obviously, he couldn't, and this is God's way of saying, you're going to have so many descendants that you can't even count them. And while Abram was listening, he had some doubts in his head because he had no children. So he looks at him and he says, God, if I die today, everything I have is going to have to go to my slave, right? You have not given me an heir at all. So although Abram had questions, he listened to God. God commands him to make a sacrifice. He goes and gathers animals that he's supposed to, splits them down the middle, makes sure that the carcasses aren't attacked by any wild animals, and he makes the sacrifice. So it seems like, Abram went back to talk to his wife and tell Sarai what's going on, and she knew that she couldn't have kids. So what does she do? She has this servant, this Egyptian servant named Hagar. And she tells Abram, hey, you know what? Take Hagar, make her your wife. So he does. And he gets her pregnant. And now stuff hits the fan, right? Because now that Hagar is pregnant, she starts treating Sarai with contempt. She thinks she's got it, right? And Sarai goes to Abram. He's like, yo, this is your fault. We got this servant lady in here. She is straight tripping. Right? Sarai is upset. So Abram looks back at her and he's like, yo, this is your servant. Essentially, you told me to do this. Go and fix it. So Sarai just starts treating Hagar poorly. So poorly that Hagar, I'm out of here, right? She runs away. In the midst of her escape, an angel from God came to Hagar and asked her, where the heck are you going, right? She's like, yo, I'm running away. And the angel's like, absolutely not. You need to take your butt back. You need to serve your master. But here's the thing, though. The angel let Hagar know that her son was going to be a wild boy. He also told her that he's going to be as wild as a donkey, and he's going to have strife with all of his relatives, right? This essentially sounds like a problem child, but she went back and she had her son. So now God appears to Abram, and he says, I am El Shaddai. And he's making a covenant with him, saying, hey, you know what? You live a faithful and blameless life. And I will not only make this covenant with you, but I'll make it with all your descendants as well. And it was at that moment where God changed his name from Abram to Abraham and said that he will be the father of many nations. He also let him know that there will be kings in his lineage. But here's the covenant. This is what they had to do. They had to be all circumcised on the 8th day. And this wasn't just people born in Abram's family. This was every single person in the household. All the slaves, anybody associated with him had to be circumcised. And if you did not get circumcised, God is breaking the covenant with you. That's a heck of a commandment, right? And in the midst of all of this, God changed Sarai's name to Sarah and told her that she would be the mother of many nations. But remember, up until this point, Sarah couldn't have any children. So Adam laughed thinking, hey, I'm old. She's old. What's going on, man? Can we just bless Ishmael? Right? Can the son that I have live under this special covenant? And God is like, absolutely not. Right? I just told you that Sarah is going to be the person that gives you this heir. But God did say, hey, you know what? I will bless Ishmael. He will be the father of 12 princes, I believe the number was. So he's still getting blessed too, but not like God's going to bless Sarah's son. So Abraham listened, and he went and circumcised everybody, including himself and his son Ishmael. So now these timelines. We see Abraham have questions over and over and over again because he's thinking about what man can do and not what God can do. And he's also thinking about his age through here as well, starting with the fact that his wife, who was almost 100, had never had a child, right? And they were so impatient that they made the horrible decision of giving Abraham another wife and letting him impregnate her, right? That brought strife into the house.
Like and subscribe.
not being obedient, right? Not probably dropping down on their hands and knees and praying like they should for their own kid. And even in the midst of that, God still came back and told them, hey, I'm still going to bless you, right? Even though you went and had this kid that's going to be as wild as a donkey, it's coming for you and Sarah. And in the midst of that, Abraham was still laughing like, absolutely not. This is not going to happen. Shoot, Sarah probably didn't believe it either. But he still said, hey, you know what? It is going to happen. And in the midst of trying to get the donkey kid blessed, God is like, no, I am blessing your wife's son with this, and you will be the father of many nations. And here's my covenant with that. And it made me think about how often I'm thinking about my timing and not God's timing. And then also thinking that it won't happen. That can be in any area of my life because we have allowed outside thoughts, outside conversations, social media, anybody but God influence what we think is possible. And because we are now in this instant society, we think now. God, I prayed once now. God doesn't move on our time. He moves on his time. And thankfully he does, because can you imagine getting what you've been praying for and squandering it because you're not ready? And then still turn around and be like, God, why didn't you help me? Why didn't you do this for me? And still be stuck, not realizing that you just wasn't ready for it. So I think as we look at Abraham's life and we look at Sarah's life and we looked at what happened with Hagar, that we should all be grateful for God's timing, and that he isn't giving us his blessing when we aren't ready, but he is going to give it to us when we are. And I hope that in today's prayer, we all pray for the ability to not just be blessed, but to handle the blessing when we do get it, and that we can multiply it. So think about that. What's one area in your life that you're not trusting God's timing, but you're trusting your own? And let's change that. Easy day. I'll see you tomorrow.
Like and subscribe.